Okay, I just wanted to get this on camera. This is a SM-J27a and T. This is the A model. This is the T model. So this is AT&T. This is T-Mobile. What this one is, I'm trying to take the screen off of this one and put it onto this one. Now I've already gotten the screen off of this one, which was easy enough. The screen to it is damaged, so I really have to be gentle with it. Now the interesting part comes in with this one, because since this is the target screen and it was already cracked the way it is. See those two cracks there. But it was already cracked like this. The goal here is to get this screen off intact without it being damaged any further than what it is. So like I said, we can use it for this one. Now, interesting thing about the J3s and a few of the J7s, you have to go through the screen in order to get into the rest of the phone, as you can see. Now, luckily, I don't have to do all of that. I could if I wanted to swap the boards, but it dawned on me, why would I just go switch the boards when I can just literally take the screen off of that and put it on there? Because there's nothing that you have to undo to get to the actual screen other than this little plastic tab here. You can literally just undo that and you can just remove the screen. The battery just literally pops out, so I don't have to worry about, oh, disconnect the battery so it won't fry nothing. Literally just plug and play. The batteries are. Now, this is the adhesive, this little stringy stuff's the adhesive that holds in the screen. You can kind of see I got it edged up there. Let's see. Now, the tricky part is, I don't know if you can really see down in there, that little white line, if you can see it, that is the actual LCD. Now, with these, the LCD is supposed to be glued to the screen or the digitizer. Like any other screen, you can get a better picture of it there. But the LCDs for these models are literally like the LCDs in iPhone models. They're a layered LCD. It's a liquid crystal display. They're layered. That's when LCD works. An OLED screen is not layered. It's literally just one little sheet that displays everything. But since this one is layered, I actually have a little finagle room with the LCD, because right now the LCD layers are a bit separated. There are a few layers that still are stuck to the screen, and there's a few layers that are still attached to the rest of the phone. Now, I've gotten the top of the phone loose as well, which is really what I was concerned about, because I didn't want the cracks in the digitizer to put any pressure on the LCD. Yeah, see. Now, if you see that little pulse right here, that's the pressure I'm putting on the LCD by lifting on it, and those cracks on the digitizer are putting the pressure on the LCD. So that's why I want to get that loose first. Now, the problem I'm having, if I can angle the camera in here without fucking up anything, is going to be yeah, you can see the edge of the LCD on that side and the edge of it on this side. In the center, the LCD is still stuck to the base of the phone. Excuse me. Now, what I'm going to have to do is try to get that middle part of the LCD out. Because if I can get that out, I can literally get the whole rest of the screen out. Now, originally I was going to try and go through the bottom, but I remembered the bottom of the LCDs in these models are not sealed together. They're only sealed together really on the top of the phone, and that's only because the connector is up there, and that's what seals it in. See? Down here, they're literally not sealed in. They're just compressurized, and it looks like they're sealed in, those different layers there. They're only sealed in at the top, and that's because of the connector literally is like hooking them in. If you can see, the connector goes over those layers. And you can kind of see those layers here. If you look close enough, you can see a little line. But it's literally what I'm trying to do. Now, anyone who normally works on devices, you don't want to work on it while it's live. This one is live, even though it's turned off. The reason is because I want to be able to see the screen's condition while I'm removing it, because if I do nip the LCD, I might as well just cancel this whole operation, because it's not going, the screen isn't going to be good, and that's going to defeat the purpose of me removing it. So don't look like it sustained any further damage. Okay. Alright, try to set this up right yonder. And we're going to try and capture myself doing this. Hopefully it goes well. Alright. Now, if there's any change in the screen, other than the the little pressure bumps that I was showing you earlier, whenever there's pressure put on the LCD display, if there's any other kind of change in the screen, I might as well just go ahead and call this a failure, because that means it's going to be a permanent mark that has been made on the screen, and there's no fixing or saving that. I can actually pull the it's going to come to me here in a second, the earpiece mesh, which is this silver thing here I got my finger on. That is what is supposed to keep dust from getting inside of the speaker and clogging it up, which it does do, but eventually even the mesh gets dirty, and then in return the ear speaker itself gets dirty. See if I can pull the mesh out. Yep, gotcha. Screen still intact. There's the mesh. Screen still intact. Alright. Now here comes the part that's going to probably make me rage, because if it goes wrong, I already know the screen is not going to make it. So, this may be the part I'm literally going to rage on. Yeah, because right now I can easily get the rest of the screen off with the LCD intact, but there's a little part of the connector right here that is very easy to slice through. Even if you don't slice through it, if you crinkle it and get it torn in any kind of way, there's 3 little solder connections right here, and each one of those solder connections has a corresponding little miniature wire that runs through this part of the flex cable. And they're fairly spaced out. One is directly in the middle, and the other ones are on either side. So one on the left, one on the right. So even if this thing does get torn in any kind of way, it's gonna lose one of those strand wires, if you will, one of those strands. And if that happens, the screen is not going to be functional at all. I mean, it'll work. It may even turn on. You may even be able to see a good picture, but you won't be able to touch it. Each one of these controls picture display. The other one controls touch function. And I think the other one is like a, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's for the proximity sensor. I think it is. But the point is, each one of them has their own function, and if one isn't functioning, then the other two are just gonna go poo brain. They're not gonna work. Period. They're kind of like a package deal. If you don't get one, you won't get the others, and it doesn't matter which one you don't get. You just won't get the other ones at all. So hopefully, this does not go as sour as I'm already predicting it is going to go. Because I swear to God, I will rage. And it's not going to be fun. Okay, so I am now behind the LCD. I hate when they pop like that because it makes me cringe. I'm not going to lie. It makes me fucking cringe. Um, Now with these, the LCD is going to have like little pop sounds, like it's being cracked. But the reason it's doing it because whenever you get directly underneath the LCD, because I have the whole LCD kind of halfway up now, it's because you're putting all those layers back together and they're kind of like adhesing their way back as one whole unit, if that makes any sense. Think of it as like how can I put this? Think of it as making up a bed, or sheets of paper. Let's put it this way: sheets of paper. You have sheets of paper, and even though paper doesn't make a sound when you just stack it together, think of it as this way. Whenever these layers of the LCD stack together, it's kind of like paper. They're literally falling back into line, and they since it's called liquid crystal display. Of course, LCD is the acronym for it. It has actual liquid that sits in between these layers. And that liquid is the reason why it makes that little crack and pop sound, because that liquid is like seizing these layers back together, is holding them back in place. Now, that's not its purpose. That liquid actually is what causes the LCDs to form a picture that you see on screen. Without it, it'll just be this black spot, which is why when some LCDs get cracked, they show a little black ink spot in the screen, like a little splotch, like somebody took ink and they just dropped it on the inside of the screen. That's why, because that liquid is starting to leak out, it's starting to ooze away, and it's not conformed into the layers anymore. It's leaking out of the layers, or the liquid that's contained in one layer is bleeding out into the other one, and it's kind of depolarizing or demagnetizing the liquid that's supposed to be in that layer, and poof, splotch. Um, but I would say something about how this is going, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to jinx it, and I'm going to rage once I jinx it. So I'm not going to say it, at least not yet. Okay, so one half of it is up. If I get the other half, I swear I will become a believer. Okay, let's see if I can work my way around through the top here. Okay, alright, there we go. That scared me. That scared me, not gonna lie. Not going to lie. Okay, here we go. Big breath. I don't know if you guys heard that pop, but that one was louder than the first one. Very much so. Thank God. Thank God. Okay. Um, Successful. Now, the reason I didn't record the very first few parts of this, which were the more very much so tedious parts where the string was completely adhered down, I had to slowly wedge my Sesmo in there, use some rubbing alcohol and the resolution solution, as I like to call it, that I mix in there, and it makes a whole new solvent or solution, and it works wonders on getting rid of dirt, grime, loosening adhesive or weakening the bonds in the adhesive, so you can just kind of work with the screen. Because otherwise, if I didn't weaken the bonds of the adhesive that's on here, this screen would have just finished cracking up instantly. Don't get me wrong, it was still adhered on here pretty tight, but that allowed me enough error space to be able to kind of jiggle the adhesive loose, if that makes any sense. I know it doesn't, but that's basically what I did. But it was very tedious. Took me probably, because I don't have a timer. I don't even know what time it is. I don't even know what time I started on this. I just started working. But if I had to wager, probably about 15-20 minutes total for me to get the screen off. Because, like I said, it's already damaged. I want to get it off as intact as possible. And considering how well this went, it came off intact. It came off intact. Still functional. Um, no permanent damage to the LCD. None. It's wow, that was perfect. And it's off. It's completely off. Only thing I have to do is remove that plastic cap I showed you earlier from the other phone. Well, first let me pop the battery out. obviously. But yeah, this went pretty dang well. Power cycle it. Make sure all the juice is out. Yep, this went well. This went very well. I am proud of myself. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull the rest of this adhesive off because since I weakened the bonds on it, so it's not going to be good. I'm going to leave the top and bottom portions of the adhesive on just because of the fact that that is literally what's going to help hold these cracks that's in the top and bottom of the screen or the digitizer together. For the most part, I'm just removing the parts that I separated, and dirt and air has gotten into it and has dried it up, and it just won't stick as it's supposed to anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. And there we go. Yeah. It is completely possible to remove screens that are damaged from these kind of models. The only ones it's not possible on are like the Edge series and the older 7 series, like S7, S6, I think. Well, no, I take it back. The S7 you can do it on. It's the S8 and up, and the Note 6 and up in the Note series. Um, in the Edge series, most of the edges you can't do this to. Like I think the only one you can't do it to is like the very first. Well, I mean that you can. I'm sorry, that you can do it to is the very first edge, like the edge, like well edge. It's just literally called the edge. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to record this one in the book. It's not my first time doing this. But the last time I did do it, the screen was relatively in better shape than this one. It literally only had like a little edge of crack, either like right here, and it was literally like super tiny that you couldn't even notice it. It didn't go all the way through the screen or not. It was just literally, well, I shouldn't say crack, but it was chipped. It was chipped right here. It was either right here or it was down here on the opposing side at the bottom. I can't remember, but basically what happened was when I got that side up, I I was trying to rush the procedure because the person was in a hurry, and on top of that, I had other phones that were in front of them, and I was like, well, because the other person said, you know what, that's fine, I can just come back. You know, I'm not in a hurry like how this person is, so I can just come back and you can focus on their phone. And so I just stopped doing theirs and I started on the other person's, and yeah, I was rushing, and I didn't give the solvent or solution enough time to fully weaken that bond and on that side of the screen, that adhesive, and I put too much pressure on that part that it was chipped at, and it turned into a crack. Now that crack didn't shoot on up through the screen either; it actually just stayed in the vicinity until I tried just like lifting up on it as I was sliding through to get the adhesive up from the base of the phone, and it just cracked. It went straight through the rest of the digitizer. I still got the strain off in well relatively intact. The LCD was fine. It's just the digitizer now had that long ass crack in it. Um, Person was still satisfied with it regardless because I actually told them what all I had to go through. Now the next person that I had an issue like that with, um, they were pissy about it, which I understood because the screen they had was perfectly fine. Like it didn't have any cracks or anything in it. But it did when I got through with it. The LCD was fine and all of that, but it just had that crack in it now. And during that situation, it wasn't even a big crack. It just was a crack that literally came across from here to here. It wasn't even anywhere on the main screen. They were upset about it. All the other ones after that, either the screens were damaged like this, or they were in good condition, and I got them off in good, good condition. Well, should I say great? Because they didn't have any cracks in them or nothing. It just took me some time, but yeah, I just wanted to record this because I never really recorded the other times I did it. This is my first time actually recording myself doing it. I did it for a Note 3, a S6, a J7, quite a few J7s actually. I think the very first one I did was a J7. I think this is my second time doing it for a J3, either second time or third time. I can't remember, but yeah, just wanted to record it.